Today's topic is imposter syndrome. And the reason I want to talk about this is when I said I was going to do a podcast to offer advice and sort of helpful tips, sort of like coaching from afar. I told my friends and asked them, what would you like help with? And so many of them said imposter syndrome. They said other topics too, but imposter syndrome was the highest one. So I wanted to prioritize that to help my friends. And it is brutal, and so many of us have struggled with it. I'm struggling with it with the podcast. It's so common, but there are things that will help you get through it, and I'm going to share some of those tips with you. So, what is imposter syndrome? I was telling my dad about this podcast and telling him about the topics and themes, and I said, "Oh, this episode is on imposter syndrome," and he goes, "What's that?" And I'm thinking, yeah, good question, because so many people probably have this feeling and they might not have heard of the phrase. So I just wanted to define it a bit for anybody who just thinks they've got it, but they're not sure quite what it is. It's that feeling of feeling like you're a fraud, despite the fact you've got some evidence of success. It's that persistent belief that you are not as competent, not as good as your colleagues, people around you, people on the internet, those you see on social media. Oddly, it can show up more after a success rather than a failure. Because if you do well, it's almost like you've got further to fall. It's very strange how that happens. But yeah, it can feel like, I don't know how I've succeeded, and somebody is soon going to figure out that I'm a complete fake. And it's especially common in pretty much every industry, particularly those where there aren't any clear rules for how things should be done. In short, it's self-doubt. And when I was having that conversation with my dad about the podcast and, this episode, I described to him my view of imposter syndrome, and he said, "Oh, so it's self-doubt then?" And yeah, he's right. It's a lot of self-doubt. It's not really knowing your worth. And it's that constant questioning of whether or not you deserve to be where you are. So where does it come from? It's common in jobs where there are no rules. And so if you are a creator, an artist, an author, you work in the games industry, whether you make films, you do photography, often in these sort of roles, there's guidelines for how things could be done. And there's that initial bit of sort of training you can have, right? But over time, as you develop your career, you kind of make your own path through it and you learn from all these different people. And so your perspective on things is very unique. And what that means is there's no right way to do most things, and everybody's way is going to be a little bit different. And so self-doubt can rear its head when you wonder, am I doing it the right way? Is my way the right way? And because you don't know how other people have learned and got to where they are, you can have that doubt of, am I as qualified? Because it's not entirely tangible, right? It's life experiences, it's lessons from mentors, it's experience from your different jobs, and your path is completely unique to you. And so they're almost impossible to compare. Comparing yourself to a colleague of a similar level is almost impossible because your life, your experiences, it will all be different. And so that's where the self-doubt often creeps in. It's trying to compare yourself to somebody else when really you shouldn't be. Often this can be referred to as the comparison trap. And another place I see this is when we compare ourselves to people on social media. Because this doesn't just happen when it's a colleague. Often you can be doing a hobby or be self-employed, be a little solopreneur, maybe run your own business. It's just you, just like me and my business. And you can look at all those people on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, all the different social medias. And what you're seeing is a highlight reel. You are seeing people's successes. They're only sharing the very, very best bits. But that comparison trap comes into play when we take our every day, where you might not have felt up to it today. You might not have slept well. You might be striving for a promotion or trying a new project and you're not sure if it's going to go okay. You're coming into your day perhaps with that little bit of self-doubt, and then you're comparing yourself to other people's highlight reels and other people's success stories. But that's not there every day. That's not everything they're doing. It's just a tiny snippet of their day. And the likelihood is they've got imposter syndrome too. So as always, I wanted to give you a very honest, very open, very vulnerable story from my own experience. And the reason I like to do that is because, you know I've done okay in my career. I've had my successes, but I still get imposter syndrome. And it's usually when I'm trying something new or pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And I know that I've got a lot of growth and learning to do. And then I see other people doing things really, really well and think, oh God, I've got so far to go. And people are going to think whatever I'm making is rubbish in comparison, which again is the comparison trap, right? Those people have got vastly more experience. So it's not fair to compare myself to those people. But yeah, we still do it. We still do it. So my story is my most recent experience of imposter syndrome, which is this podcast. I'm not trained in this. I am learning as I go. I'm putting everything out there as I learn. And there are so many things I am learning. And hopefully that keeps being the case. But I've also found that at the start, I was comparing myself to other people, to my favorite podcasters, to my favorite YouTubers. And when you listen to even their audio podcasts or watch their YouTube channels, their studio setups are incredible. Their audio quality is amazing because they've got these fancy mics. They usually have a production team. They have people that will come in and edit and fix the audio, mix it for them, cut and trim and do whatever they need to do to the video. I don't have that. It's just me doing it on my own, and I'm trying to learn these skills as I go. And I realized that I've been getting this imposter syndrome, comparing myself to these people. And again, I'm comparing to a highlight reel, but I'm comparing to a very experienced highlight reel. And I'm coming in as frankly, a novice. I've done public speaking plenty of times, but I haven't done this. I've not put myself on camera. And so I learned that it's okay if I make mistakes, if the audio isn't the same quality, if the video is not the same quality, if my studio is kind of lame compared to theirs, because I'm not at their level. That's okay. That's an aspiration. And it's great to have aspirations and goals, but I shouldn't feel like I need to attain that level yet. And you shouldn't feel like you have to attain any higher level than where you are currently at. So if you've been getting imposter syndrome, as I have, and you've got that voice in your head that's telling you you're not good enough, telling you you're an imposter, telling you that your way is rubbish compared to this person's, telling you that your studio is rubbish and your lighting could be better, I want you to know that that's very common, but we need to start reframing that, right? We need to reframe it, just like I did with looking at those very well-known podcasters and YouTubers. I need to stop comparing myself to them. It's okay to be just starting out, or to step into a new role, to start a new project and not know everything, because that's the way life goes. You start something and you don't know everything, and you're going to learn as you go, and you'll learn more and more by doing, and you'll learn even more by failing. So try to not worry about failing. That doesn't make you an imposter. That doesn't make you a fraud. It means you're learning. It means you are growing. It means you're being brave. It means you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and that should be celebrated. Those differences I spoke about before, where you have a different life experiences, where you go about things a slightly different way, where you may contribute in different ways to different projects, or maybe you just do it in a way that people think's weird, but it's kind of your way. That's okay. Because what makes you different is what makes you special. It is your superpower. And quite often, I feel like the world, especially like social media things, it wants you to almost assimilate, it wants you to be just like everybody else, make everybody this little cookie cutter. And if you start wearing a mask and pretending to be like everybody else, you're going to start feeling more uncomfortable because you're not being true to yourself. So be true to yourself and reframe it that your way of doing things, even if it's different, even if it's slightly less experienced, is valuable because you're bringing a different opinion, different insight, and you're going to come up with something new, something potentially really creative. Whatever it is you're doing, you're going to add benefit to it by being you, by being unique, by being different. Feeling like an imposter, honestly, that's part of the growth process. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels absolutely horrible. But if you are doing something and you're doubting if you're good enough, you're doubting if you should be there, that means you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And so when that voice rears its head saying, you're not good enough, maybe it's more, I don't know if I'm good enough yet, but I'm going to have a really good go. I'm going to prove that I am good enough. Be more assertive with it. Come at it feeling like you can rather than feeling like you can't. I want you to remember that everybody you admire, anyone you aspire to be like, anybody you look up to, has most likely had this at some point in their life as well. Not everybody, but the vast majority of people. And they might not show it. They might have to wear a mask of confidence, especially if they're in a senior or leadership role. But I guarantee they will be feeling it too. And so I want particularly anybody who's listening to this that's new in an industry, that's junior, that's trying a new project, that's pushed themselves out of their comfort zone. I want you to hear that and really take it in. That everybody you look up to, everybody you're learning from, they have felt it too. They probably still feel it. And so you're not an imposter. You're actually one of a big group of people that all feel pretty much exactly the same. One final way I want you to consider reframing imposter syndrome is to think about, it's a doubt, right? It is genuinely a doubt of whether or not you can achieve a thing, whether you can do a thing to the level you want or that you aspire to. And often our brains will come at us with this doubt. It happens all the time, and brains come to us with fear, right? That's how anxiety often begins. Our brain will kick in with this, oh no, panic, because it's trying to protect you. It's that self-preservation, same as where the fight or flight comes from. It's this reptilian part of your brain that kicks in that is trying to save your life. It's like, are you running away from a lion? Well, no, I probably don't have a lion in my studio. I hope I don't. I've got Louis, he can be a little bit stabby at times. But, most of us, we don't have a lion. We are not facing a life or death situation. We are simply in our brains thinking, don't think I'm as good as that person. Maybe they're going to find out. Oh, God. So our brains are overreacting. They are trying to help us. They are trying to protect us, but they really don't need to go that far with it. It's really not helpful. And so the best thing you can do is to try and calm that bit of your brain. It's to let it know, hey, no, it's okay. It's okay. This isn't a dangerous situation. We don't need to worry. There might be failure, but failure isn't bad. There's a safety net, right? There are ways we can pick ourselves back up and we can move forward. So give yourself a little pep talk and reassure you, and try and use some tools that will help you just get out of that mindset. And so I'm sure many of you have your own tools, but I'd like to give you some of the ones that have helped me over the years. Keep a little nice things folder. That could be a physical folder where you keep letters, cards, certificates, anything like that. It could be on your phone or computer with screenshots, like maybe you do both. I've done this before and it's really, really lovely, and it's nice to look back on, not just for the happy memories, but when you're having a really hard day, looking back and going, oh, I'm doing all right. I'm actually doing okay. Maybe those things that you got those nice comments from or have nice screenshots of, you had imposter syndrome for that, but it actually turned out all right. So remind yourself of all your successes. And maybe if you felt this before, it'll give you that boost to know, no, I know this feeling can come up, but I know I'll be okay because look at last time. I've got all this evidence that I'm good at what I do, that people like what I do, and that I can make a success of it. An essential tool in this toolkit is to avoid that comparison trap. And that is really, really hard in social media because we're all on it pretty much every day. And you're seeing everybody's highlight reel. If you're on LinkedIn, you're seeing people getting promoted, getting a new job, doing this big public speaking thing. If you're on Instagram or TikTok, you're seeing people living their best life, like traveling, doing all these cool hobbies, putting together these videos, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what's going on in their real world. A lot of these people are wearing a mask. They are struggling with imposter syndrome. They're going through all the same life challenges that you might be. They just don't show it. And so if you're there comparing your life and how you feel to a highlight reel or to someone else's masked version, that's unattainable. You are never going to feel 100% every day. You are never going to live a highlight reel. And that's okay. That's real life. So stop doing it. Stop comparing yourself. That will help you more than anything. Let them live their lives. You live your life, and you do it your way, and you do it authentically. Another tool that can really help, just talk to somebody about it. It could be a friend. It could be a colleague. It could be a family member. Literally could be anybody, but just pick someone nice and tell them, oh, I've started this new thing. It's going well, but I'm a little bit nervous about it. I've got a new job and I'm a bit worried that I'm a bit out of my depth. Talk to them honestly, and you'll be surprised at the support you get. They will give you a little pep talk. They will tell you you're doing well. And they'll give you that little boost, that little bit of reassurance, because that's what people do. Having a conversation will really, really help settle your nerves. It's talking about things really helps. It channels that energy somewhere. So you're not stewing internally, you're putting it out into the world. And often that will just help dissipate it. It will help reassure you. And finally, the only real way to tackle anything when it comes to imposter syndrome, confidence, self-doubt, is to do it anyway. And I know that makes it sound easier than it is, but sometimes you do just have to do it. Put yourself out there, have a go. As I mentioned, I had huge imposter syndrome starting this podcast, and honestly, it was really, really scary. And it's still a bit intimidating, but each time I do it, it gets easier. And sometimes, I'll record it and I'll be like, do you know what? I don't like any of what I've just done. It wasn't clear. I want to redo it. And that's okay. We re-record it, we do it again. And each time I do it, it gets smoother, it gets clearer. And I feel like, each time I'm getting more confidence, and that imposter syndrome, that little voice in my head is getting quieter and quieter. So show up, have a go, do your best, try and ignore that voice in your head that is telling you you are an imposter, because you are not. You are not an imposter. You deserve all your successes. You can be at the beginning, you can be learning, you can fail. All of these things are absolutely okay. You are not an imposter in your own life. And that's what this is, right? It is your life. You are the main character in your story. You really are. You are not an imposter at all. Finally, I just want to remind you that we are all our own worst critics. The things you criticize yourself over, the doubts that you feel, you will be feeling them much more than other people will be saying them about you. And so please remember that. Please be kind to yourself and try to let go of a little bit of that self-criticism, a little bit of that self-doubt, even if you can just do it a tiny bit. Be brave. Have a go. Believe in yourself, because you've got this. You deserve your successes. You deserve to be able to learn and practice and grow. You are not an imposter. You've got this. All right, that is all for today. Thank you so much for joining me. In episode 4, we are talking all about burnout. I have had 3 major burnouts and I've got close to many more. And I feel like over the years, I've learned kind of how to spot when it's coming. And I've noticed things that have changed in myself when I get it. And I've also noticed it in friends. And so I want to talk to you about it, help you know what it is, help you spot the early warning signs so that you can prevent yourself, your friends, your loved ones from getting it. All right, I will see you in the next episode. Have a really lovely day. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.